All right, folks, we have made it to championship weekend in the NFL. We are about to figure out who will be representing the AFC and the NFC in Super Bowl 60. So let's go ahead and get into these picks. All right, folks, so full moment of transparency. Last week, I was terrible with my picks against the spread. I was pathetic. I was abysmal. 0 and 4. I went 0 and 4 in my picks against the spread last week. So now my playoff record is even Steven at 5 and 5, but nevertheless, here we are, championship weekend, new week, new picks. Let's go ahead and get into it. So first up, we have the AFC Championship. We've got the New England Patriots taking on the Denver Broncos. Patriots, 4.5-point favorites on the road. And listen, this is the third time that these two are facing off in the AFC title game, and the first since 2015. And Drake May has a chance to do something with the Patriots that not even Tom Brady was able to do. Beat the Broncos in Denver, in the Mile High Air, in the postseason. The Patriots are 0 and 4 in Denver in the postseason, 0 and 3 under Brady. And looking at the Broncos side of things, as we know, the Broncos are going to be without Bo Nix for the rest of the playoffs, suffering that broken bone in his ankle last week. And Jarrett Stidham, who has not thrown a pass since 2023, is going to be getting the start. And fans are hoping that Jarrett Stidham has that 2017 Nick Foles magic to him. And of course, he had Nick Foles on Twitter talking about how the Patriots struggle in championship spots against backups. But anyway, before you start writing the Broncos epitaph, let me just say this. Sean Payton knows how to win with a backup quarterback. When he was with the Saints in 2019, Drew Brees missed 5 games with an injury. Teddy Bridgewater was the backup quarterback. And you know what happened? The Saints went 5 and 0 in those games. And then, listen, I know about them going 3 and 1 with Taysom Hill in 2020, but at the same time, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. I mean, they beat a terrible Falcons team twice and a Broncos team that literally had no quarterbacks available because of COVID, and they lost a close game to the Philadelphia Eagles. But the moral of the story is Sean Payton knows how to use a backup quarterback. And if Jarrett Stidham doesn't turn the ball over and he keeps it out of harm's way, I say Denver's going to make this a ball game. And as for the Patriots, listen, folks, this has to be one of the flukiest playoff runs I have ever seen. I mean, we can bring up the Patriots' historic strength of schedule from now to the cows come home, but look at the last 2 weeks. Their offense struggled for 3.5 quarters against the Chargers, but the Patriots defense ultimately came and bailed them out in that game. And then last week, let's make it abundantly clear. The New England Patriots did not beat the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud beat the Houston Texans. And on top of that, Drake May has not exactly looked like an MVP candidate in these last couple of weeks because last I checked, MVP candidates are not supposed to fumble the ball 6 times in 2 games and lose 3 of them. But anyway, we talked about also how Denver comes after the quarterback with 71 total sacks combined in the regular season and the playoffs. But nevertheless, I think this thing is going to be close. I think this thing is going to be tight. But I'm going to bank on Jarrett Stidham not pulling a CJ Stroud and repeatedly turning the ball over and the Broncos defense to make things interesting. I'm going to take the 4.5 here with the Broncos. Even if the Patriots do find a way to win, I'm going Broncos plus 4.5. All right, next up, we have the NFC Championship. We have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks, 2.5-point favorites at home. And listen, folks, with how good the NFC West, outside of the Arizona Cardinals, have been this year, it's only fitting that the NFC Championship comes down to 2 NFC West teams. And in the 2 games that the Rams and the Seahawks faced off with each other this year, both of those games absolutely lived up to the billing. In Week 11, the Rams beat the Seahawks 21-19. Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions, and the Seahawks were still a Jason Myers missed 61-yard field goal away from winning that game. And then in week 16, it was billed as the greatest Thursday night matchup ever given the circumstance and a game of the year candidate, and that game lived up to the billing. But of course, the main takeaway from the game in week 16 was that infamous 2-point conversion late in the game for the Seahawks when Sam Darnold threw that apparent backwards pass and it was picked up by Zach Charbonnet in the end zone, and the 2-pointer was good and the Seahawks went on to win the game in overtime. But looking at things from the Seahawks perspective, of course, no more Zach Charbonnet. He's out for the year with that torn ACL. And I feel like that could be a big deal, but I do have faith in Kenneth Walker III to pick up the slack. And as great as this Seahawks defense is, there are just way too many unknowns with Sam Darnold. Now, look, last week was a walkover with how busted up that 49ers team was, and that game was literally over after the opening kickoff. This, folks, is by far the biggest game of Sam Darnold's career. And I know that he can have a big game, but I just don't know which version of him we're going to get. By the way, him having that oblique injury, that doesn't help. And him going up against the Rams, that doesn't help either. Him having 6 interceptions in the 2 games against the Rams just can't be ignored. Meanwhile, looking at things from the Rams' perspective, the Rams clearly have the better quarterback with Matthew Stafford, who's probably going to end up winning the MVP. And even though Stafford's been dealing with that sprained finger since the Carolina game, we all know how tough he is and how he just finds a way to come through in the big games. And along with that, he put together game-winning drives in each of the 2 games the Rams have played this postseason. And I can see Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams both having big games. Kyron Williams had a good game last week, and the Rams' run game, folks, has really impressed me. But nevertheless, I think this game is going to be close, and I think that this third matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks this year is going to live up to the billing like the last 2 games, and I think it could come down to the last possession. But I think if Sam Darnold has the ball last, I think it's more likely he ends the game on a back-breaking interception than it does him going down the field and winning it. But nevertheless, Stafford's been in this spot before. Sean McVay's been in this spot before. And I know Seattle is a team that's gotten hot at the right time, but I'm going to go ahead and bank on experience to get this thing done. I am taking the Rams plus 2.5. All right, my picks this weekend. I'm going Broncos plus 4.5, and I'm going Rams plus 2.5. All dogs as far as championship weekend is concerned. Like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell to be notified of when I post again, and also follow me on Twitter and on Bluesky at CW Talk Sports. That's CWTALKS Sports. Enjoy the football, everyone, and I will see y'all the next time. Peace.